All right, good to see everybody. It's great to be a few 7 practices in, I guess, and start to have an idea what this looks like as we get, I guess, less than 3 weeks away from seeing a different opponent and what that looks like. I'd first like to just touch on Andre. He hasn't practiced yet. He's been out for close to a month now. As we approach, he's getting and progressing quite nicely. We'll see how some results come back early next week. But doing everything he's supposed to be doing. I will say it's a tough break for him. It's a tough break for us. We think that he's an outstanding player and a big part of everything that we're going to do. And just not having that little touch of chemistry with him has been frustrating for me. I think the one thing that it's done, it's given Keaton, it's given Brandon, David Merkovich all opportunities as new guys. It's probably helped expedite their growth. I'm in an unbelievably comfortable place with our freshmen, maybe as good as we've been in terms of them not being lost with what we're doing, the pace of what we're doing, the physicality of what we're doing, and now the stepped up 20 hours a week. All of those guys, for young guys, have handled this from 8 to 20 hours very well, and the physicality of it they've been very good at. So Andre's, we'll have a little clearer picture as we move forward. We still don't know any timetable yet on Ty Rogers, and he's progressing at the best rate he can right now. And he's out of a brace, which is a great thing, and just doing everything he can with our team docs. Justin on the training side and Fletch. So those two guys, there's nothing really new since the first day of practice. It's just them going through the process of recovery. So I think we've had some really, really positive practices. It's been a great opportunity to mix and match, so to speak. Before you guys ask, yes, we've looked at both the twins together a good amount. I think that's something that we can see at different times. I think that it's we've even looked at a really big lineup, sliding Zvonimir some to a perimeter spot because of his ability to shoot it and space the floor. So. Our veterans, it is so incredibly great to have veterans and to have guys. I'm very, very pleased with the job that Kylan, Tommy, Ben, Jake, AJ Red, Ty Rogers from a sideline, Jason Jaxtus. I'm incredibly pleased with the job. I think our leadership has been so advanced from a year ago, and maybe on the same level as it was the year we had TJ. We're getting we're able to move through practice at a better pace. Those guys are coaching. Those guys are leading. They're our hardest workers. They know the pace with which we go. And each and every one of them, and I don't think Kylan gets enough love, enough talk for how good an off season he has had. I think pound for pound, he's one of the strongest athletes in college sports. Adam Fletcher will tell you that. He's just had a terrific off season. He's taken the end of last year and just really magnified it and turned that into a positive end and had a great off season, and expecting just a sensational campaign for him, and he's leading on both ends of the court. I think as we continue to grow. I think the one area we're still trying to find chemistry is on the defensive side. It's no different. You guys have stood up here now for 8 or 9 seasons and heard me say that it's the one challenge. We've made some changes. Cam Crocker's heading up our defense. He's brought some new ideas, some different ways to do some things. I've given him a lot of leash in terms of his ideas. I like him. We're trying to be a little more proactive on the defensive side. We've gone from one extreme to the other in my time here. With denying and being first or second in the country in turnovers forced to almost dead last. And so we're trying to find a little balance. We would like to see 4, 5, 6 more opportunities to get easy baskets. Off of our defense, he's brought some great ideas. I like our length. I like our ability to protect the front of the rim, maybe as well as we have ever. Now we'll see. Now that I've said that, I probably jinxed it, but I do like what we're capable of doing there. I think Andre, his return adds to that. I think he can be one of the outstanding defenders. He's got great athleticism. He's got great strength, and was one of the top shot blockers for a wing in the country last year. So I think he adds to that. But we're continuing to grow on the defensive side. Offensively, we spent a lot of time. Tyler is heading up our offense. We've got a lot of versatility there. We became an elite cutting team last year with the ability of our bigs to pass. That's been enhanced with David and with Z both. I think we've got a group of front court players who not only shoot it but can really pass it. David is a tremendous playmaker from that spot, and not only has the ability to pass it, he's got great ball handling skills as well. So I think we'll continue to play fast. I think it was one of the problems that we had last year was we didn't play fast enough, even though we were a top 5 team. Scoring wise, that kind of fit into KJ and Will, the 2 freshmen, not as comfortable doing that. This group, Mihailo adds just something we haven't had in a long time, is just a jet. He's got great pace in the open court. He's got great speed. You put him with Kylan, who is, like I said, one of the elite athletes in college basketball with his speed. And then with an open court, because we think our ability to shoot it will provide that. I think it's a great opportunity for us to play with some terrific pace in the open court. So, it's where we're at. We've got obviously a challenging schedule. It's going to jump right from the jump with an exhibition against a very good Illinois State team. Very excited about that. It's been well documented. We've got a closed door with Florida, who most people have number 1 in the country or 2. And that'll be a great test. They'll have one of the elite front courts in all of the country. But, that's just in preparation for a challenging non-conference schedule. And very excited to have Texas Tech, an Elite 8 team last year who returns a great deal. Coming back to Champaign will return. And then obviously getting back into Chicago has been something that we've been wanting to do. And to have Alabama there, to play there the next 3 years is outstanding. Alabama, again, is going to be, Nate's done one of the great coaching jobs in the country the last few years. And then obviously Tennessee back in Nashville. And obviously the game right after Thanksgiving with UConn, and Danny's going to have a top 10 team. So to do that back in the Garden will be a great challenge for our guys. It'll be a home game for them, but an opportunity to again play the best teams in the country in a non-league before we get into a 20-game schedule that is loaded. I think the league's better than it's ever been. We've obviously got some coaching changes that impact in different ways. It used to take a little while when there was a coaching change. Now with the portal, you've got a coach at Iowa that brings one of the best point guards in the country. So they get a tremendous impact. And Nico at Minnesota, his success at Colorado State, a terrific coach. And Buzz has won everywhere he's been. And now we add him coming from A&M to Maryland. So the league's going to be great. Everybody's obviously going to talk about Purdue, who's very capable of being the #1 team in the country preseason. My opinion, the best guard that's been in this league since I've been here in Braden. He deserves all the accolades. He's tremendous at what he does, and then his sidekick in Kaufman-Renz right there with him. So, it's just it's an incredible league. It's going to be a great year for the league. It's going to be a deep year for the league. I think you could see as many as 12, 14 teams in, and don't be shocked when that happens. It's going to be a night in, night out slugfest in conference play. So. Excited for our group, excited for the challenges in front of it, and like I said, very, very high and very big on this group's leadership and where this has been after 10, 11 days of practice.
Any update on Mahalo in terms of his NCAA eligibility?
We do not. That's just a process that we continue to wait on. We have done everything. Our staff has been fabulous at handling everything that we did. It's a very similar situation, maybe drawn out a little bit compared to what Tommy went through a year ago. This one's a little bit longer because of just timing of things that were completely out of our control. But we have, our compliance staff, our lawyers have done everything that we need to do, and we'll just wait for the NCAA to determine what that looks like.
Brad, obviously you really liked Keaton Wagler as a prospect, but fair to say he's done more, at least immediately, than you thought. What has he shown you this summer, and what can he add to you right away?
Yeah, he's I want to be careful because he's a freshman who hasn't played a game yet, and we just had 2 one-and-dones who I sat here a year ago and didn't think they'd be one-and-dones, and we put them on a stage and they achieved at a very high level, but. Keaton's in that class, and he's got to continue to physically grow with Fletch, but his problem solving, I define a lot of lead guards, and he's a point guard with that 6'6" frame, 6'7" frame. He's a great playmaker, but he's a better decision maker, and when you get below the free throw line and you have to make decisions in tight quarters around a lot of size, that's been very impressive to me. And then he's an elite competitor. He's very unassuming, very kind of quiet and stoic. Reminds me a little bit of Io when he was a freshman, but he'll fight you, and he's been a great listener, a great learner, and really has kind of been pretty impressive from that side of things day to day. It's not just have a good day and then usually too bad and you have to regroup them and get them back, and he's pretty much handled that day to day. So very excited about his progress.
Have you studied other twin towers, 7-footers, and what's kind of the risk of playing two together, and what excites you about that?
I think if anybody plays small, everybody thinks, well, maybe there's a disadvantage, defensively because of quickness, and I think that we have to understand. I'm very much into playing to their strengths, and not trying to say, well, they've got a size advantage, let's post them, if it's not what their strengths are. I think Zvonimir's an outstanding shooter. He's got a gift, and he's 7'2", and he can shoot it over the top of most everybody that he plays against, so he gets it off very quickly. He's very good shooting off the move. So he does that at a really high clip. Where Tommy's more of a pick and pop, open up, doesn't do it as well on the move. So we'll play to their strengths, and we'll see what that looks like. But, we're sure not going to put them in situations to not be successful on either end of the court. And I think both of them are figuring out the defensive side of it more than the offensive side of it.
David Mirkovich, since he's been here, and what do you like about how he completes his team?
Yeah, David does just about everything right, except he talks too much to the managers and the officials when he doesn't get a call. So, but he's a guy who was a point guard growing up, so he's got a guard's mentality. He's got a playmaking mentality. A good shooter who can extend the floor. A guy that obviously is known for his motor and his intensity and his physicality. We came in about just under 270. Fletch has got him at 250, right in there. That's helped his mobility. A lot of times we judge athletes by how high they jump and how fast they run, but we look at it a little different. He's a really good functioning athlete, high functioning athlete. He's got great quickness. He can open his hips. He can guard multiple guys. I think he's got a chance to be an outstanding rebounder. But his decision making is very advanced for a big, and he's got the ability to drive it, put it on the floor. He's a guy that we can play mismatch with because of his ability to play booty ball and handle it and do some of those things. So I love his versatility. Again, he's a freshman right now. He's fouling way too much. We've got to get that stopped. But been very, very pleased with him. He's a very high IQ, cerebral player.
Were there things that Mihailo had to learn going from Europe to the United States, and how do you think he has, adjusted to this program?
Day to day. I think one of the things, and this is the same thing Kasparos went through. In Europe, it's not as fast, and it's very controlling. And it's controlling from the coach's standpoint. They run a lot of sets. Getting Mihailo's terrific in ball screens. He's incredible in ball screens, and his teams have put him in almost all of them. And sometimes he has a tendency to run to the ball all the time because he's had it, he wants it, he knows that he's really good in a ball screen. Teaching him to play in space is important. Teaching him to play with our pace. Now he's a little different than Kasparos. Obviously, he likes to play fast, but he's also a guy that's used his speed to get where he wants. We also have some guys who we would like to pitch it ahead to, and then he's got to learn to play in space. So he's learning every day. He's very receptive. He's very, very smart. Again, it's just the biggest challenges for him are more or less on the defensive side than the offensive side, but he gets better every day on the offensive side.
Mirkovich's chatter with maybe the managers and the officials, just personality-wise, what does he bring, and maybe how does that fit with the group you have?
Well, he's the one guy I wouldn't want to get in a fight with. He's got an edge that we all like and we need, and we knew that when we got him. He's got a he will talk a little bit, and he's very, very competitive. He hates to lose, and so it's we've got to help him in some of the areas when it comes to talking to an official or all of that. But his motor runs really, really high. His competitive spirit is very high. He never wants out of a play in practice. He spends probably as much time in the gym as anybody working on his game. So he's strung pretty high when it comes to his competitive spirit, and that's a pretty good thing.
That process for Mihailo, and you mentioned it being similar to what KJ had to learn. Milo's a lot older. Has that helped him?
Yeah, Mihailo's played in Europe at a higher level than KJ. KJ played with a lot of his guys his same age. And so KJ was always really dominant and in terms of the group that he was with. Mihailo's had other really good players around him. And so that piece of it has maybe made it a little easier. It's more a stylistic thing than it is, from coach to coach, and you go from club to club, and how active they want to be in transition, or how controlling they are with tempo. There's no doubt we'd like to play in the mid to high 70s or 80s in possessions, and he's got the tools to do all of that. So it's just a stylistic thing, and he's, again, not having him this summer, he's adjusted really well.
Coach Rocker, the defense, is that a thing where you've given him a lot of freedom to kind of design what that's going to look like?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations. I think that it's the one area that I've felt great about where we're at offensively. We've had a top 15 offense the last 2 years. We were the Elite Eight year. We were 1 going into the UConn game, finished 3rd. Last year we were 14th. I feel good about that. I think we can still enhance that, and we're not doing anything defensively to help that. And just some different ideas have helped. Some different techniques. I think that Cam's done a great job of adapting to our personnel, our size, and what that looks like. Taking advantage of Bam, who I think is one of the best defenders in college basketball. So I think we're emphasizing some things a little differently. Deflections, back in the passing lanes, some of those things that we did early on when I had the job, but not to that kind of reckless abandonment, so to speak, that we had early, but a little more aggressive.
What led you to him specifically? Because there's not a lot of ties there. And Howard, and obviously. So
and I got to give a lot of credit to the other members of our staff. I didn't know him. I knew of him because we played him, and I was looking for somebody outside. I was looking for a different perspective. I wanted a guy that, obviously having to relate to young people is a big key in today's world. And then as we started diving into people and personnel and got talking to him, and his name came about through a couple of different sources in the profession. And as we started talking, it was just, okay, he grew up on the West Coast. He played in the Ivy League. He coached in the prep school levels. He's back to Stanford. He's been around elite people. He's been around winning. And then probably the most important thing was who he is as a person, his high character. We got to the basketball side of it, but man, here's a guy that was a captain at Penn, I think a great, and still do, I think he's better than advertised as a communicator. He's got great poise. He's got great presence. And then philosophically, he started to make me think, about some different ideas. How about doing it this way? And that was all in the process. And, so it just became a really good fit for me, a really good fit for our staff very quickly. And he is not disappointed.
When you talk about the recruits, current players, and former players, talk a lot about Adam Fletcher. Can you talk about the impact he's had on your program since you've been here?
How long we got? He's when you look at things, you look at academics, you look at the trainers, and you look at strength coaches. In reality, those people spend more time or as much time with our athletes as anybody. And we've got the weight room has always been very, very important to me. It's the single best piece of advice I got when I took the job. When Josh told me, "Hey, you probably need to look at this guy. I think he's pretty good," and that has been the case from day one. And I say this all the time, and people laugh. I might be the only head coach in the country who caters to my strength coach. The investment we've been able to make because of our administration, because of his expertise, from the nutrition side of things to the recovery side of things, it was very impressive to me. Kind of came full circle this year when Io came back. And he said, "Coach, I'm getting everybody. everybody that played here coming back, and we're going to spend extended periods of time here because of Fletch, because of what we do in nutrition, because of this facility. I told somebody today, earlier, I said, this facility is worked out exactly how I imagined it needed to be 8 or 9 years ago when we started this process. And in terms of our players are here, they don't leave. We're around them all the time. We're in here with them. Our coaches are doing their part. We've now streamlined the player development piece with Zach Hamer taking over that. He's working with Fletch. So it's a combination of everything. But Fletch is so personal, and it's everybody says they've got it. They do. They've got those people. But it's how it's implemented and how Fletch attacks that on a personal relationship. And it might be a massage one day. It might be an individual strength session with one of them the next. It might be helping manage their nutrition and making sure they're eating to gain weight. He's so invested, and you don't find people, if everybody was as invested as Adam Fletcher is at his job, my gosh, the productivity would go through the roof.
What do you think the keys have been to your international recruiting success the last couple of years? Do you feel like the success that KJ and Tommy here had last season helps that at all?
Yeah, you got to give tons of credit to Jeff and Orlando. Orlando started it the first time he was here, and then Jeff just took this thing to another level, and really. We knew it was an area that fit our university. It was the personality of our university with how broad we are internationally, how diverse we are. It fit. I liked personally the style of those players, what they've grown. And then as we entered the NIL world, the best players then became available. And then it's all those connections that those guys have had with overseas people. Jeff just got back, spending 7 days in 4 different countries abroad, working on the next group and the next 2 groups. So it's a lot of really hard work. Now I think we can sell our system, our style of play. Cass Bristol's one of the top point guards in ball screens in the country, and the style of play, and to see 2 guys who truly weren't projected as one and dones. Come here and have that kind of success, to see Tommy grow and have the success he did, sure, that helps. There's no doubt that helps. But it's our facilities, it's our strength conditioning, it's our player development. All of that is playing a huge factor in our ability to attract people from abroad.
The 3 ball's been a big part of the offense, obviously. Have you got a feel yet how good of a shooting team you have this year?
Yeah, I think it's going to vary a little bit. I think we're trying very hard to impact shot selection. I thought last year even though we took 47% of our shots were threes, I thought we got a little carried away maybe with too early in the clock, too contested. So we're trying to handle shot selection in a little different way. I also think we have one of the better mid-range guys in Andre Stojakovic. I think we have a great finisher in Kylan Boswell. I think that Brandon Lee, Keaton Wagler are 2 really, really good downhill guys. Brandon Lee, the last few days, has reminded me of Andres Feliz. Big, strong, physical, just downhill, and he's an elite finisher. I think we're a good shooting team. I know we're a good shooting team from the 4 and the 5. I think we got one of the best shooters in the league in Jake Davis. I think Ben is added 20 pounds and is we know what he's capable of and from 3, and I think he'll have a fantastic year. So I think we're going to be a good shooting team, but it might look a little bit different than it did last year, and we're hoping we're doing that through some we've upped the ante a little bit on our shot selection, so to speak, in terms of really trying to not take that tough 3 with 18 on the clock.
You mentioned how the conference could have 10, 12 teams. Last year, SEC had 14. What are your thoughts on how that's developed of late? some conferences could have 12, 13, 14 teams. Does that change the way you view, or is those are just the teams?
Yeah, I think it's just the teams. I try not to. I think one of the advantages that we have in basketball is we've found a system that works. And I don't think it's perfect, but I think you start looking at quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4 games. I think you get a pretty good outlay of what it all looks like. I think that's a challenge they have in football right now, is they don't have a system. That's why there's so much conversation about playing 8 league games versus 9. We do. So I think you get a very good framework of who your teams are. And I obviously like the analytics. I think there's a certain value to the human element as well. But play people. If you get beat, it doesn't have to kill you. I'm a big proponent of that. I think the game's in the best place it's been. I think NIL has helped that. I think that the exposure that we're getting, I think 8% was the increased viewership of last year's NCAA tournament. Can't ask for more than that. And you had a lot of the top seeds last year advance and move on, and doesn't always happen like that, but it's always good for basketball. The SEC was fantastic last year, and it was their year. They were an old league, and they deserved that. I think that's us this year.
Qualifier that Keaton is a freshman, hasn't played a game yet. You mentioned what was the process this summer of bringing him along, and does that change as you get closer?
Yeah, we had no choice this summer. We didn't have Mihailo either. So it's okay, you're a point guard and you got a ton of reps. But I think it was always about his finding his comfort zone, whether that was going to be on the ball, off the ball. We knew he'd played on it a decent amount. Surprised in his ability to handle some of that, go against Kylan every single day. And his decision making, it just continued to grow. There's an example of Kylan just made him better, and so he gives us that luxury to play still on and off of it. But he's pretty doggone good with it.
You've seen Jason's physical development, but where have you seen him maybe develop the most on the court? Through the redshirt year and this summer.
Jason amazes us every day. I think he's continuing to gain strength, which allows him to gain stamina. Jason reminds me of a young man I had a few years ago when I was at Stephen F. Austin, who was a high school volleyball player. And he was really bouncy. He was really quick off the ground. He would dunk on you and you'd be shocked. And Jason's that. And he's quick. He's very cerebral. He's got a great IQ. He's a little bit deceiving in that he's got a really good handle, so he can play into a lot of different actions. Maybe our best screener, but I think as the season goes, he's going to continue to gain stamina. He and Merck have been two of our top rebounders day in and day out. So I love what he's doing. The redshirt year obviously was huge for him and just gaining strength, gaining the 30-plus pounds that he's gained. But very, very excited about him. He's got just a tremendous knack to block shots as well.
Talking about decision-making, problem-solving, beyond just like the point guard kind of position-wide for you, how has that grown or evolved the impetus you put on that when you build a roster to have guys who do that at a high level?
It's continuing to grow a lot. Again, there's no secrets. We use a lot of personality testing in the recruiting process. Processing is one of the things that we're continuing to grow. You're getting into a world of AI and everything else that allows you to do some things and look at some things from that side of things in the recruiting game. But it's in every sport. It's in baseball. How do you see a pitch coming out of a hand? How do you move from, as a quarterback, one target to the next? It's about how your ability is to process. And we look for that stuff. And We have some tools that we use to do that. And, it's going to continue to grow for us because it's very important the way we're playing.
Beyond some flashes of Andres, what else have you seen from Brandon Lee just in the course of time?
Well, he's taken a tremendous amount of pride in the defensive side, and Dre was instrumental in Io's development. He was instrumental in helping us get this thing turned in the right direction because of what he did defensively. He's strong. He's got a great body. He's a great competitor. He's got that hot switch that runs where he's ultra competitive. But then as a downhill driver, I mean, Dre was maybe as good as anybody we have had here, and Brandon's showing a lot of that same thing. He's just tough. You can't knock him off his spot. And he's got a uncanny Euro step. He's got a nice touch. He's got the ability to get it over. He's been getting it over our guys anyway, and finish. And then he's been a career 85% free throw shooter. So I like those changes, especially with the new continuation rule that's going to be in play this year. So I think it's I'm excited about him. He's been great. He's really made a big jump from the summer until now, and I'm excited about that for him.
Coach, you said that college basketball is as good as it's been. Is college basketball coaching now still as good as it's been?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Is the job of a college basketball coach as good as it's ever been?
It's just different. It's just different. I think we all have to accept that it's just different. I don't want to. I'm not going to speak for everybody. I've never ever in my life been afraid of change. I just try to figure out how to tackle it the best I can. I try not to get wrapped up in all the negative stuff that people want to complain about and talk about only because it's different. Doesn't mean it's right or it's wrong. Do we have some issues we need to work through? We have no rules. We have no guidelines yet. You guys understand, we're recruiting, and there's a lot of talk about a 5-and-5 rule. We don't know if that's going to impact anything. Well, it could impact us with a guy like Kylan Boswell. So, patience. I'm a huge believer in Tony Petitti. All you got to do is look at the announcement that came out yesterday. A forward thinker, a guy that has tremendous foresight and understanding. Hasn't been in the NCAA bubble his whole life. He's been with TV. He's been with professional sports. So I think that we need rules. We need to figure out how we're going to enforce them. We've got the settlement. I think it will look a little bit different in 3 years than it does today. But the game itself is great. NIL has kept players from going to the G League or kept players from going to the NBA because they can stay in college and keep developing. All that's fabulous. That's great for the game. We're keeping really good players and allowing them to keep getting their education. So it's different. Time's different. The spring used to be a time where you could really focus on basketball and your team for the future. Now you're still recruiting. I think we've got some calendar issues but I'm not one to complain very much. I'm one to take more of a patience. Let's wait and see. Let's trust the people that are in charge of this thing. But when you think about this, we just sold student tickets in 18 minutes. We've got to sell out again. All year long. I couldn't be in any better spot as a basketball coach at any school in America than I am at the University of Illinois. There's not one job I would leave here for. That's unbelievable. 18 minutes. I mean, they better figure out technology, how to get that damn thing down to 16 next year or 15 to keep up with it. But it's the interest is great. We're selling out. TV likes us for games. The facilities are incredible here. The leadership with Josh, you can't ask for anything more than that. So my job is incredible, and we're in the best place we've ever been. going into year 9, I couldn't be happier, and I think that the game will continue to grow and it'll look different in 5 years than it does now.
Andre on the floor for a little while, but just what do you hope you can unlock with him within this offense and just how he fits within the rest of it?
I think the best thing about Dre is he's a connector of people. He's a guy that when he's on the sideline, everybody migrates to him. He's got a tremendous personality about that. That's a very rare trait. I think everybody knows that he's been a guy who's done it at a fairly high level at his other schools. I think he's a guy that is very smart. He's already watching tons of film with our coaches and wants to be successful. So I think it's he's an elite finisher. He's a downhill driver. I think that the paint being opened was something he didn't necessarily see a lot of last year. He's a guy that we've got to keep refining his shot selection. He doesn't have to do it every time he touches it. He's got other guys he can play through and play with. But I think his three-point volume was really low last year. I think we'll see that go up. But I think he's a really hard guard because of his athleticism and his strength, and can really live in the paint.
You guys said you guys would get the results next week. Do we have an idea, like we get the results, he can come back in a few days, or we get the results, it might be an extra month? Do we have an idea about that?
No. I literally show up every single day, and I met with our people today, and they said we got a test next week, and okay. If I worried about every injury, every sickness, and I don't. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't even ask. When we have him, we have him, and I think it will be a progression into maybe some dummy stuff. Obviously, we're not going to throw him out there and just let him flounder around, so to speak. We're gonna make sure he's in condition, and there'll be a process to that.
Tommy, he talked about wanting to improve his post game. That was kind of an off-season priority for him. Have you seen that early on?
Yeah, I think the one thing that he's been very, very conscientious of is gaining strength. That's a big part of his post. It's not that he didn't have it. You go watch him play before he came to the States. He was a post player that shot an occasional three. The game is there. I think what he needed to do was become strong enough and gain that strength. He's at 256, I think, this week. So he has worked very, very hard with Fletch. I think he said it himself. He feels like he's in the best shape he's ever been in. I think that's something that again helps post play and being effective. I mean, he's got a tremendous jump hook. He's got a sky hook. Those are all things that we're very comfortable with him doing, which especially last year when he got fatigued and tired, he gave in to that. So I think that added strength will allow him to be a little more effective down there than maybe he has in the past. See you soon.